Hey all, welcome to another lecture. Today we are going to be looking more into Cinemachine cameras, and also we're going to be looking at the last week's video of the treasure chest, and I'm going to be creating what I did as well. So there's a couple more lines of code for that. So there is ways around it that's not hard-coded with the treasure chest, but we'll look into that just a little bit. So what we're going to do at the moment is look at Cinemachine. So again, if you do have a blank Unity canvas here, that's absolutely fine. What you need to do if you want to download Cinemachine, you go to Window, you go to Package Manager, and then what you need to do is make sure you go to Unity Registry, and then you can type into Cine, and it should just pop up. There we go, Cinemachine. As I said, I've already installed mine. I can update it if I want, but it doesn't matter that I'm not installing it. It all works with the version that I have. That's absolutely fine. So again, I'm using the Unity's third-person asset template. Where am I going? So if you go to Hub here, you could go to New Projects, and you just find. So I've downloaded it. There we go. The third-person configuration. You can also find this on the Asset Store as well for you to download and use. It already comes with Cinemachine. Cinemachine's really nice and easy to install and to find. And today we're looking at sort of more the nitty gritty. We've done Cinemachine with 2.5D, and we've also done Cinemachine with 2D as well. So you should be pretty privy to it. So if we look at the Cinemachine camera that we have here, that's actually following our player armature, we can actually see it's doing exactly what it says on the tin. It's actually following the player camera route. So this has got a transform. If we click on this, and it shows us what that transform is, that it's essentially an empty game object that is on our player, and that's what that's following, which is really nice. And so when we press play and we move, the camera is simply following the player. So really nice and easy, you don't have to code that in. But what more can we do with Cinemachine? So we've kind of, with the treasure chest and the spaceship lecture last week, it's kind of, and hopefully you've watched all of that, we're developing from this, and going into more of the technicalities of Cinemachine. And as we know that we can even add Cinemachine tracks to timeline, which we'll be doing a little bit later as well with the treasure chest again. But we can control different cameras from there, from timeline. But what if we don't want to use timeline? What if we want to look at other ways of controlling our cameras, or having multiple cameras, and just generally getting to grips with more Cinemachine cameras, because it can be a little bit confusing. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at blend lists or blend list cameras. The best way to do that is we can keep everything that we've got here absolutely fine, and this is what's really nice about Cinemachine. You can just add more and more cameras and it won't break anything. So when you're sort of coding different cameras and you want it to follow here and follow there, it can get really tricky, but with this, Unity does it all in the background. So what we're going to do is go to Game Objects, go to Cinemachine, and we're going to go to Blend List Camera. So when we click on this, you will see that we can just leave it as CM Blend List Camera 1, and we can see that it's already got a drop down of 2 extra cameras here. And we can click on camera 1 and camera 2, and we can see the only thing that's changing as I click on 2 of these is that one of them's live and one of them is got the lens vertical or field of view vertices of 40, and one is 10. So if we have a look at soloing this camera, we can see, if we solo this, it will directly take us to the chosen camera with our game view. So if I click off solo here, click on our CMV Cam 2 and click solo, we can see that's the view of our camera there. So what I'm going to do is just change this field of view here and zoom this out just a little bit, because I've zoomed in quite a bit, so we get a full view. So that's at 54.1, and then if you click back on here, we can see if we solo this camera, well, it doesn't change that much, is it really? So there we go, solo that one, and we can solo that one, so it has changed slightly as well. So what we can do here, let's change, and again, Cinemachine cameras are just like normal cameras. So within my scene here, with my scene view at the top here, I'm going to make sure I can view my camera from here, for example. And then I can go, once clicked onto CMV Cam 1, I can go to Game Object and go to Align with View. And my camera, as you can see, will go boom, straight to this view here. I'm just going to zoom out again with that field of view. Lovely, fantastic at 56.4. So now I've got two cameras from two different angles. So how can we use these and blend these in? And what we're going to do is we're going to even complicate this even more, or just to show you even more. If we click on the blend list here, we can see that we have these two cameras here in an array. And what I'm going to do is add, boom, two more cameras. So there you go, Simul VCAM 3 and VCAM 4. So we're going to change these cameras as well. So I'm going to click on VCAM 3. I'm going to change my camera like this. There we go. And again, I'm going to go to Game Object and Align with View. And then Solo, we can click on this camera, go to Solo, boom, fantastic. And then we're going to click on this camera, the VCAM 4, and just try and think of another angle I can do. That looks pretty good. And then again, I'm going to go to Game Object, make sure I'm clicked on CMV Cam 4 and click Align with View. And then make sure I can solo that. There we go, fantastic. So I can go camera 1, solo, that's absolutely fine. Camera 2, solo, camera 3, solo, and camera 4. Solo. Lovely. So we can blend all of these cameras together using this blend list here. Or this blend list just up above. As you can see, at the moment we've only got simple settings between camera 1 and camera 2 within our blend list, but we can add bump. We can change this to camera 3 and bump, and change this to camera 4. So I've got 4 cameras in here now. So this blend list can also be used for triggering as well. So what we're going to get to is more of in later sessions. I want you just to get comfortable with this at the moment before we start triggering these cameras, start chucking more into timeline and stuff like that. So we're just going to get comfortable for now with all of these cameras. So and then eventually we will come and hopefully see how we can create almost like the original Resident Evil 1, 2 and 3. The original was on, I think they're all pretty much on PlayStation, the original PS1, and see how they could do their fixed camera shots by the player running through a scene but triggering different cameras. And we can use that nice and easy with Cinemachine, and that's where we're going to eventually get to. And what's that? That other game, Five Nights at Freddy's. We can use a system like that as well. That was more of like a phasmophobia system. We have like CCTV, but again, it's really nice to use multiple cameras and just add them and control them through the hierarchy instead of adding a script and going through code and stuff like that. Lovely. So at the moment, our VM1 cam is going to hold for 1 second. Let's change that and hold for 5 seconds, so we can see that definitely working through. And then it's going to go to our VM2 camera, and that's going to ease in. As you can see, we get all these different kind of settings. Let's say, let's keep ease out, and that's going to take, let's say, 5 seconds to ease out, and then that's going to hold for another 2 seconds. And then we can change this to a linear, see what that does, change that for 2 seconds, and that's going to hold for 2 seconds as well. And then we can say back to an ease in, and we're going to hold for another 5 seconds. So you can test, you can change your own settings, by all means, absolutely go for it. So what I'm going to do here is, to get these cameras working, number one, I'm going to click loop. So it's going to loop this process that we have here. So it's going to go, I was going to change the cuts, as you see when I do a lot. Yeah, cuts is fine. Or actually, I might just ease in. So, and that's going to take 2 seconds as well. Change that there. Lovely. So this is all the settings of our camera as they go through each other, and of those 4 positions that we have of our player here. So in order to do that, I need to turn off the main camera. So I'm going to go to my player follow camera here and just uncheck that. And then as soon as I press play, this camera, because this is now the main camera, our Cinemachine brain will speak to these cameras because this main follow camera is off, and speak to these 4 other cameras here. So I've unchecked that. Let's go maximize and play so you can see what's happening, and then hopefully if I'm on my blend we can see those transitions kicking in as well. So press play. There we go, there's camera 1, and that's going to be I think it was, hopefully it will do something. Oh, there we go, and it's that slow blend over to camera 2. So you can think about game scenes, cut scenes that you can create here of showing levels, showing surroundings. There we go, and that will cut to there again. And this will blend and loop through as well. So if you ever wanted a cutscene of showing off scenery, environment, level design, again, a conversation between different NPCs, this is how we can create this. Obviously, with the NPC stuff, I'd probably say use timeline because you might have audio, dialogue, UI as well. I mean, all of that can be dragged into timeline and controlled via that. But this is a really nice little thing that you can do with blend cameras to definitely trigger something, just create a trigger, make this come visible, and show off a piece of scenery, for example. And you don't even need timeline for it. It's just a quick array, and all can be done within Cinemachine, which is really, really nice. Lovely, fantastic. So I said about a CCTV camera, so let's have a look what we can do with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to delete all of this. And we are going to turn back on our follow camera just for now. Lovely. And what am I going to do? Let's just add another game object. Cinemachine camera, blend list, and what I'm going to try and do this time is create a security camera. So let's go with our CM1. Let's drag this up here and see what we can do. Let's say there, maybe. Lovely. Fantastic. So what I can do is I'm going to have my camera start from here. So this is going to be like the harsh left side, and then it's going to pan to our second camera. Or should I just use one camera and add another one, duplicate it? That might be a good idea actually. Let's just go. If I delete this one, hopefully it doesn't. Lovely, cool. And what I can do is duplicate this camera, and then we can call this camera 2 again. It's in the same position, so bit of a cheat, but no mind. And then we go and put this over here. Or actually, let's Command Z that. And this camera that's in this position from our scene, because oh, actually I didn't do a line with view, did I? So let's start with this position here. Click on this camera. And try and add a bit more CCTV, maybe a bit higher up. Lovely. This is a very crude CCTV camera, I'm aware of that. So game object, and then go to align with view. As we can see, we've only can see. Actually, let's just change that field of view just a little bit. Lovely. So our player is actually in the camera, and then this is going to pan over to the other side as well. So what we're going to do is we can then click on this, duplicate this, change this to B2, but this time I can actually pan out, click on this camera, actually I'm going to solo this camera as well, go to my position, and then you can position this camera directly there. And what we can do is try and get them to pan. And we can show you how we can get this kind of nice movement. And again, we can get this kind of security camera, Phasmophobia, Metal Gear Solid kind of esque CCTV camera movement going with no code. Cool, right, so let's have a look at our blend list now. We've got those two cameras. Let's change this to VM2. Lovely. So what I would like to do is initially with my CM1 camera, I'm going to want to, let's say, hold just for 2 seconds. Trying to think of some good CCTV settings. If it's going to hold for 2 seconds, and then it can pan over to CM3, and that can be linear. I quite like linear. That can be 3 seconds, and then that's going to hold for none. And then so we're going to plus a camera, and that's going to be our CM. That can be our second camera again because I need it to hold. So that can then hold. So if that's our CM camera 2, that linear can be at 0, or then that could probably hold for 2 then actually. That would be okay. And then we can add our VM camera 1 again. And then that can be just linear at 3. Cool, let's see what this looks like and see if it actually pans, or it could look really terrible. I'm trying to just do this on the fly, trying to create a security camera because I was banging on about it. So let's have a quick look. I'm going to make sure the follow camera has been turned off. I'm going to put on loop. That's going to cut to it. Do I want it to do that? Back to VM1. Oh yeah, it can cut to it. That's fine because it's the same camera. Cool, let's press play. It's all maximised on play, so we should have some kind of linear. Nice. Awesome. Cutting off the guy a little bit, but now we're looping it. We've now got this nice linear moving camera. Maybe we could have made it rotate instead of move from on the x-axis. That might have looked a little bit more professional. But as you can see what I'm trying to do here of creating a security camera with, number one, without using timeline. It might be a lot easier because the animations are all just set in to the camera, so it's a simple drop and drag into timeline. And number two, it's no coding either, so it makes it a lot easier. Cool, fantastic. So that is pretty much an intro into Cinemachine cameras, and what we'll look at next time is triggering those cameras, and again, having multiple camera setups, but having a look at the kind of the original PS1 kind of Resident Evil. There's loads of other games that used to do it as well, but when I try and think of these things on the fly, no games come into my head. So, but yeah, kind of the Resident Evil kind of style PS1 kind of camera, fixed position cameras as you walk through different scenes or different places and different areas. Cool, so what I'm going to do now is have a look at the old treasure chest. So what I'm going to do is delete this camera, delete all this, turn back on my follow camera, I'll set that to there, and let's go and download a treasure chest. So if I go to Unity, click on here, click on that, so go to Unity Asset Store, and I know I've sent you the links already for the last lecture, but I forget how to do half of this stuff. So treasure chest, there we go. I'm not paying for it. That looks pretty good. Hopefully, I don't know, I can. Yeah, let's just go with that. I'll probably have URP issues, but standard. Let's have a look at this. That should be okay. Cool, lovely. Just going to add this to my assets. Accept. Open in Unity. Click download. Apologies, I should have done this before. I didn't think. So I'm then going to go import all those. Lovely. Where are you, treasure chest? Chest free. Cool, lovely. So you can also see URP. We will have a look at HDRP and URP as well. So look at these materials here, they've all gone pink. So if you've got a URP settings We can go to rendering, we can go to our render pipeline converter. If you're having any problems, you can ask Lauren about this as well. So let's just add that in just in case. Come on. Material upgrade, bump. There we go. Maybe not for that one, and then readily material converter. There we go. Initialize converters. Cool, blimey. You can see that it's talking about the chest anyway here and doing the prefabs. There they go. Let's go convert assets. Lovely. That's all green, so that I'm happy with that. Cool, lovely. Let's have a look at let's hopefully see this chest in 2 bits. Hopefully it sorts it out, self out. Oh yeah, it's just going to be reacting to reflection probes. I thought it would. Classic. It's not in 2 pieces. That's well annoying. That is really annoying. I need this to ideally be in 2 pieces. Let's see if we can break this prefab. Let's go. Prefab. Unpack. Ah, come on. How annoying. Right, alakazam, alakazoo, I will be back with a open chest. Cool, so to make things easier, what I've done is I've just added a new scene and added my player armature to here. Just noticed it doesn't have the follow camera, so I think I'll chuck that in as well and make sure that it does actually follow. You just play follow the armature. And I still have a Cinemachine brain, so it's probably needs a Cinemachine brain on it as well. Lovely, there we go. Let's just make sure it's going to follow the camera route. So let's click on the camera route, follow. Lovely, fantastic, cool. So I've also found a chest, and if I have a look at this chest very quickly, it has a top, which is good, and lovely, we're good to go. So let's create a new timeline. Again, it's always good practice just to create an empty object for this. There we go. Timeline, let's just go create, and I can just put this back in. Where's my assets? Well, this is assets, isn't it? So it needs to come back. Assets, cool. I'll call it timeline 2, so I created one earlier accidentally. Cool, we'll call this timeline 2. And first of all, we'll grab our chest and we'll sort this out in here. So what we can do is I'm going to lock this so we stay on this screen. Grab my chest and grab just the top of my chest, as you can see selected here on the scene view, and we'll drag this in, and this should give me an animation track. Cool. I'm just going to double click on that so I zoom in. Cool, lovely. So to kick off, let's record this. I'm going to probably, even though I add key, I don't know if it will probably save it. We'll give it a pop and take that to 2 seconds. Crack on the rotation and just open the chest fully like that, and hopefully there we go. We have our animation there. Lovely. Stop recording. Lovely. We do have our recording of our chest opening. Takes 2 seconds. That's absolutely fine. What I might that. Oh, actually, I'll keep that there, and I've got my what I'm looking for, my audio as well. So let's start with the chest opening audio. We can just chuck that in, and so it kind of, you can spin it off out there. Hold Control Command to do the easy ease, so that should give it quite a good sound. Lovely. And what I'm also going to do is create this as an audio clip, animation clip, and we can drag it to 5 seconds, so it holds that animation in. So it does the audio, lovely, and then I can also do the audio of collecting whatever item after it will open, and then just after it, just about there. And again, I might just ease that off. If you can't hear the audio, don't worry. This is what I have done. You can completely change. Well, hopefully you've already done this, so you're just seeing what I would do. So what am I going to do next? Let's have a look at the particle system. Add that as an activation track initially, and then we'll just add a effects. Where are you? Particle system. Yeah, that'll be fine. I'm not going to fight with it. It looks like it's coming out of the chest anyway, so cool. And what we can do is chuck this into there, and initially we want that to then open, or as soon as it opens, about there. There's particles we can begin. And again, we can just, there we go. Yeah, I've got particle systems is a really weird thing where it just won't play them automatically. So don't know what that is. I don't know if that's something I'm doing. I'll have to check that out. Or it might be just a weird thing. I'm going to uncheck play on awake, because if I quickly press play, save my timeline. Cool, that does already automatically open, which is good. I just got no particle systems, even though it's there. Really annoying. Something I'll definitely have to have a look at, so apologies if you've got the same issue with the particle systems as well. But we will definitely get there. So what we are going to do is we're also going to create a trigger for our player to walk in, because it's playing automatically at the moment. So we're going to go, let's just add a cube, just go from there. Nice and easy, bump, 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 bump. Yeah, I think that'll work. Just bring this in a little bit. Very crude, but let's just call this trigger. And I'll get rid of that mesh renderer as well. Set to is trigger. So I've already written the code because it's pretty much the same as the space animation code. So let's go add component. Oh, actually, I think I've got it here already. It should be called treasure chest. There we go. Let's just click and drag this, and I'll show you the code anyway. So there we go. There we go. So as you can see here, this is the scripts that I used. As you can see, we have to start off again, just like the spaceship, using Unity.engine playables. Then we've done a public playable director of timeline, and then I've just created a quick on trigger enter. So I think it's, apart from obviously the script's name of the mono behavior, the script is exactly the same as spaceship. So hopefully you've done exactly the same as that for spaceship, as spaceship for your own treasure chest. So make sure if we click on this, we can save this. We can jump to Unity. And all we need to make sure is on the playable director, we need to uncheck play on awake. And then we can see, don't shut down. if this is all working, I think we should be okay. We're going to have that weird particle system error. I don't know if it's just a Mac thing or a me thing. I don't know. So there we go. You probably can't hear the audio, but I'll walk. There we go. There we go. And that trigger and that all. But we haven't got our prize. So let's have that. So you might have used an activation track when you did this. I'm going to do it a little bit differently. So initially, let's go. And what are we going to win? Let's say we're going to win a coin. So let's grab a cylinder. Whoa, it's a big old cylinder. So let's say we win a coin. So we'll flatten this down. And we'll rotate it around to -90. We'll scale it down. Cool, lovely. And what we'll do is make sure it's in the middle. Yeah, that'll do. Cool. And then I'll just change this to coin. Might just quickly make a material for this so it looks pretty. Let's just say gold. Quite a goldy colour. And we'll just go metallic map. Bam. Smoothness up. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And we'll drag our gold colour onto our coin. Fantastic. So we win our coin. So what we're going to do is I have some prefabs. I'm just going to prefab this in this folder. Cool, lovely. And then I'm going to delete that prefab. And then what I'm going to do is create an empty object. Make sure that's pretty much centered where that was. And I'm going to call this spawn point. So this is where our coin is going to instantiate and appear. Okay. So the way we do that, we're going to jump back into our script and we can add some variables into here. First of all, we are going to add a public game object for the coin itself. So public game object. I'm just going to call this item for now. That's absolutely fine. And then we do public. We'll do let's do just a game object as well for our spawn point. Let's just call it spawn location. So it's actually different. So in here we are going to write a new method, an instantiate method. So we can just call this private void because no other scripts needs to see it. And obviously we're going to use appropriate wording, so I'm going to call this instantiate coin. Cool, and then what I'm going to say is instantiate, so this means instantly spawn essentially, which is going to be our item. And then we need to say it's going to come through our spawn location dot transform dot position, and then we need to, what's the rotation going to be, and that's just going to be quaternion dot identity. And then within here, we need to say we're going to invoke. So we're going to, so if we instantiate this, this will appear instantly. So we want to invoke like a delay. So an invoke is a delay in our code. So we can say we're going to invoke, and if we call it up as a string, instantiate coin, and then we can say what we're going to delay it by. 5 point F. Cool, lovely. Don't know why that's gone yellow still. Doesn't usually do that, but I'll go with it. Cool. No errors. Let's save this. Jump back into Unity. Unity will tell me I've got this weird input error, but I'm just going to ignore this instantiate error. It's nothing to do with me. And then let's clear that. So our coin should appear in our spawn location area. Let's go back to our trigger. So we're looking for the item, which is now prefabbed as coin. But I need to actually edit that prefab because I haven't got the gold material. Oh, it has got the gold material on it, even though it doesn't look like it. There we go. And then it needs the spawn location, and I was going to grab spawn point and crack that in there. Lovely. Quickly save this. Let's see if this instantiates. There we go, and there's our coin. I have to change that rotation most definitely, but we can quickly do that because our coin comes in like that, but it's been rotated, hasn't it, at -90. So our spawn point probably needs to be at so what was it? It came in flat, doesn't it? So it probably needs to rotate this away, which again will be -90. Let's have a quick look at this. Let me just get rid of the coin. So just disable it. Press play. Walk up to our... Oh, I have to sort that coin out, but I'll probably have to sort out the prefab. But yeah, that's popping through instantly. But I'd also probably instantiate the particle system as well, because that's been really annoying as well. And this is probably going to keep... There we go. But there we go. That's that. Pretty much sorted. Cool. Yeah, all I need to do is sort out that weird rotation on the coin. If I change that to 90, what would that do? So I'm going to update. Because I want to drag it in. Oh no, he's doing that. What's he doing? Silly coin. Cool, let's put it at -90. This is bugging me now because I do it as an override. No override, sweet. It says a transform override. So, why are you not listening to me? No overrides. Silly coin. Apply all. Cool, let's delete that one. Let's bring this one back. Apply all. Doesn't seem to be, because this is cool. That seems to be okay now, but hopefully that saves. One more try. If not, I will. You get the point. Oh, flipping coin. Anyway, there we go. We've got it instantiated, and you now know how to instantiate objects instantaneously as well within your game. I hope this has helped. There's that little bit of line of code there, just to instantiate objects into your game. And next time with Cinemachine, what we'll do with the cameras is get that kind of that Resident Evil, that Resi 1, Resi 2 kind of fixed cameras and get them triggering off as well in some kind of like better kind of security system. Cool. All right. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon.